ourselves. This session is going to be a light session, very, if we can call it an informal, we can ask questions. Now, we can also continue asking questions to Dr. Tazli here. Just now, whoever didn't have opportunity to ask some tough questions. We can even challenge some of the ideas that we presented, or we will talk about it, so that we can come to an agreement at the end of this session, okay? Because not everything is agreeable to everyone, okay? So now we have here beside me Prof. Udan Kusmawan, okay? I think you gave a very nice talk before this. So you were introduced, so you are basically from Indonesia, right? As a senior academic at the Faculty of Teacher Training and Education, University Terbuka, Indonesia. One of the universities with many students here, there. Yeah, okay. 500 students. So besides Prof. Udan, we have Dr. Tazli. I think he's a well-known figure in education scenario, I believe. So he was in Petronas. I was introduced to him when he was in Petronas by none other than my ex-VC, okay? Who was very fond of him. So he said that, Prof. Aziz, if you can get him over to please do. I tried, but it was not successful. Now he's in Brunei, but we are happy to have you today, Prof. Now from paling Utara sekali, Prof. Fauziah here, I've heard about your work with KPT and all that. Alternative assessment, innovative assessment and all that. So we have some good panelists here to address something in our mind, especially if you are from UM staff were asked to go into open book assessment and all that. I think there were questions about ChatGPT, should be allowed, how we do this, I'm from sciences, many questions are. So this is a very timely period that we are discussing this. So I hope we open ourselves now. Don't worry about the question. If we have to disagree, we say that this is not right, this is not the right timing, we are okay with that. Okay, then we can talk about it. So now what we're going to do is, we are already, now I will open the Mukaddimah today, so that, now I have few things here, few items that I want to recall throughout my life. 30 years ago when I went for interview, they asked me, what is the design allowances that when you do your chemical engineering design? So I was struggling. I said probably it's 50%, 20%. The point is that it was very content based. Nowadays, the same company doing it differently. What kind of assessment? Your cognitive assessment, your maturity assessment. So things has changed out there. So we got to change as well the way that we do things 30 years ago than now. Now, I can say that academics has been hiding behind exam hall. You cannot bring in your programmable calculator. You are not supposed to do this, you are not supposed to do that. After the COVID, that era is gone. We cannot hide behind Kaidah dan Peraturan. We cannot hide behind exam hall anymore. Okay? Now, and I analyze many questions. If I remove 6 or 7 words, kirakan, bahaskan, bincangkan, berikan. If I remove few words, probably 60%, 50% of our questions will be gone. No more there. Okay? And we also tried, okay, Dr. Zahir is here. Some of the questions, ChatGPT can answer those questions within 20% of the time allocated and scoring probably A+. That is the scenario that we are having now. So okay? Now, if you go to a class and produce 30 slides and we are very happy with it, the students can produce 300 slides, a better slide than us. Okay? Okay? Now, next is, I pick up someone who's very clever outside that. Give our assessment to this particular person, very IT savvy. Solve this question. Okay? I give you all the access to go to internet or all the access. Answer the question. If that person can answer the question, it means this person never attended our class. Open book can answer the question, then what is our value? Okay? So just to create some awareness of what we are going to talk today. Okay? Now, last one. In your assessment, have you ever used an image? You give an image, or even a table from the newspaper, like what Dr. Tazli said there. And you say, what's right or wrong with this image? But it's always text. 95% or even more than 95% of the exam, at least in UN, are text. There is no image. So there is a clear indication that probably we are missing some aspects of creativity and things like that. Okay, that's the mukadimah that we are going to talk today. So now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give probably about 5 to 6 minutes for each of the panel here to probably talk something related that we are talking today, which is actually inclusivity, equity, and future assessment. Okay? When you say future, probably the future is today. Or the future was probably 3 months ago or 1 year ago. Okay? So, to you.
Okay. ChatGPT, right? Everything will be there. Okay, so can I just share in the context of my university? So, because as I'm talking with some of colleagues outside of this room, many of are interested in open education. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about Universitas Terbuka to open your mind what is connected in my university. My university, Universitas, is a single mode university in Indonesia, so we deliver everything through online. But student can access through face-to-face learning also. So it depends on the student. When student can go to face-to-face classroom for tutorial, but basically we provide online learning. We use AI, still just started use AI into our courses. We just start for some only 3 or 2 courses, which you see. But we start with analytic to analyze the process of student learning. But still not result of that. Some of ours are doing research on that, but not really. Just start this year, I think, 2023. Okay. Regarding the assessment, we conduct three kind of assessment, as I said previously. We conduct face-to-face assessment, online assessment, that's the main platform of ours, and also we conduct practical assessment. Those assessments can be accessed by the student based on the student choice. I mean, the student can choose whatever they want to choose. I mean, if the we provide all of the type of assessment, then the student choose. Except for the assignment of the process of learning. So we, the student have to do all the assignment during the semester. But type of assessment, the student can choose the type whether or not online, online proctoring. We have online semi-proctoring actually. They can go to face-to-face to the spot where we provide paper and pencil test. That's the student choice. So, if you have been in Indonesia, some places is it's difficult for the student to assess, to be in online situation because of the, you understand it. But with communication with local government, Universitas Terbuka just collaborate with local government to provide access for the student. So the students, our students still can have their own way to go for learning and assessment. Okay, what else? Okay, thank you.
Entertain questions later. Okay, probably Dr. Tazli. Yeah.
All right. This is a just continuation from what I shared just now, right? I think most of you, maybe some of you just realized that actually my background is not really in education. I'm not from education faculty. I did my degree until up to my PhD in chemical engineering, right? In chemical engineering. I only switched field recently, right? Switched field recently. But I developed a strong passion in teaching and learning, I think since 8 years ago, 9 years ago, where I started to learn from zero, most of the time about pedagogical strategies, assessments and so on. Very fond of student-centered learning approach, and I always advocate that. Even, for example, right now when I'm running the company together, because I'm working in Brunei, but at the same time in Malaysia, I have my own company here. We're looking at education training consultancies with my business partner. We are actually providing this kind of courses, on learning, student-centered learning strategies and so on. All this while, when I asked my students, the participants of the workshop, about, okay, they learn about flipped classroom, they learn about active learning, problem-based learning, all those kind of things. And we check again after 6 months, have you done this? Oh, it's very difficult, doctor. I'm not that creative to think about how best I could assess my student, how best that I could actually deliver this inside my class. And this become a challenge. Whenever I ask why you know that this is good, but why you're not doing it? Because they say, I have no time for it. I have to publish a lot of papers, right? I have to do research, and I don't have time to craft the best problem for my students. I have no time to create a good rubric for my students, and so on. And we stick to the traditional way as it is, and as what we're doing right now. So with the emergence, for example, of AI, for example, like ChatGPT, is really a helpful tool for us to start doing it. Maybe we can just start small. It's okay to start small as long as we are starting and we're not just being at our whole time, right? Just changing from our projector to slides and then keep the slides. The 10 years ago the slide was like that, and it's still the same thing like now. We haven't changed that. I think it should be, as a faculty members, as an academician, I think we shouldn't be doing that. We should try to keep update with the technological changes and make sure that we adopt the practice of these pedagogical strategies inside our class, and we can start to look into various ways of assessing the students. Again, using AI is a tool to assist and accelerate our own progress, right? Rather than taking it as a hindrance, and supposedly that is actually speed up our own progress, just to make sure that we help our students, we scaffold our students accordingly. As you know that many of our students, if you notice inside the class, some of them, in order for them to reach the outcome that we want, some of them may need just 3 to 4 steps and they are there. They can be there. They are readily hired, be able to go to Singapore and work in UK and so on. But there are students who actually need 15 to 20 steps in order for them to be there. We always look at those students who are actually very fast. Okay, we praise them. But how about these students? Why do we leave them behind? So this is the way forward that we should try how can we include these students in. We allow them a better learning experience in our classroom with the assistance of AI. I think that's mine.
Okay. So it means now when you engage into this, the question is someone who is very IT savvy is being advantaged into this environment, right? Or if someone coming from a rich family is being advantaged because they are used to, this environment and all that. So this is where, when we go into this alternative assessment and all that, there could be some element of, inclusiveness. We are basing our assessment, the good students, bad students. So this is where the challenges are there, but with the help of tool, we can actually personalize the assessment as well. A little bit of more work probably, a little bit of more understanding probably, but with the help of a tool, these difficulties can be lowered. I think that's what I get from your very brief introduction. Prof, may I have you about 5 minutes?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Aziz, Prof. Udan, as well as Dr. Tazli. Right, I think I want to go back to your question, which is actually what's the focus of future of assessment. I think it depends on how you define future assessment. If you're looking at future assessment as now, which is because of this ChatGPT, people are talking about AI. But if you're really talking about assessment, which is actually related to learning, and you want to get, as what Dr. Tazli said, you want to get all students to learn. You don't want anyone to be left behind, and that's why Prof. Udan says that you have different ways of assessing students, right? So actually, the future has been there for all this time, but I think somewhere along the line, because we were looking at mass education, we have so many people in our classroom. Instead of having 20, maybe zaman dulu you'll have 10 people with the guru, and it's easy for the so-called seafood to actually ask Socratic questions, and everybody has got opportunity to actually, be stimulated and inspired by those questions. With 120 in the classroom, it's rather quite impossible to do the same. And that's where all these seafoods or the lecturers would need support. And that's where the technology comes in. My area is actually learning, nothing to do with assessment. But because I see learning and assessment is actually two sides of the same coin, so that's why I think we need to understand how can we enhance the capacity of students' learning and ensuring that everyone has got the equal opportunity. When I say equal opportunity, as you said just now, not all are the same. So some people can just have a nudge and they can go, speed to the fourth gear. But some people, you really need to do the hand holding. And you can't afford to do that. And that's the reason why we have these technologies, these tools, to help these kind of students and help us so that we can then concentrate on looking at what else can we do for the students in our classroom, rather than trying our level best to help everyone, and in the end we never get anyone on board. So I think the future of assessment, at the moment people just look at technology, but we cannot forget that the whole notion of assessment is actually to help our learners to learn. It's not to, I think along the way we tend to we want to put them in little boxes, right? Like they are A students or B students and C students. We forget about the D and E and F because they're hopeless, quote unquote. But in actual fact, education is not about that. It's about helping everybody to see that they can learn, they can contribute, later on as citizens. I think I should stop.
Thank you, Prof. Okay, now, what we do is we open the floor for questions. But let me have the privilege of asking the first question. Okay? So, moderator, I think you have the privilege, right? Now, what has changed in philosophy assessment? Okay, is assessment. See, assessment is both motivation for the learners and also a tool to ensure that the outcome has been achieved at the minimum level. That's how I look at it. Okay? Is it still relevant? Is it going to be relevant in the future? And what has changed in the philosophy? So probably one of you can answer. Probably, Prof, you can answer that. You are in an educational
I
philosophy.
don't know whether it's because I'm the only woman up here or because I'm also the only one from the education faculty. Okay, I think you can't run away from the outcome, especially when we talk about outcomes-based education. We cannot forget about where we want our students to go, right? So the outcomes, to me, the outcome as far as the OBE is concerned, is going to be there. It's actually, it helps us to see what is the standard. You know, the outcome is actually our standard, where we want the actual destination. And how we get there and how our students get there is how we design that to happen. And you cannot just say that, okay, this is the quiz and you go ahead and I'm going to give you the score and that's it. Because that's not going to help the students actually reach their true potential. So if you're talking about outcome, yes, it's going to stay. The philosophy of assessment is basically to ensure fairness, to ensure that whatever questions that you have is actually valid and reliable in relation to the learning outcome which you have actually stipulated, because those learning outcomes were the very ones that you have set, you know, with the idea of beginning with the end in mind. You want this kind of people when they graduate. You want this kind of people who will be able to contribute in society. So that's where the outcome becomes the standard.
I ask you two follow-up, very quick question. If tomorrow there is a university coming out and say that in our university there's not going to be an exam, okay? Do you think the students and the parents will come running to this university? Yes or no?
Well, it all depends on how the society looks at it. Okay, the reason why...
No, at the current situation.
Current situation, in schools, right? I'll give you another scenario here. If it's in the primary and the secondary schools, right? We started with the school-based assessment, thinking that we really want to see how teachers can actually help students to learn. But then a few weeks after that, all the parents come charging and banging the door because they say the teachers are not teaching because there's no homework. Because teaching the lessons, whatever assessment that's been done is done in the classroom. And worst part of, they don't know whether the students are getting the A's that will require them to get all the perks that they need. Whether entering to SVP or scholarships, whatever. So it's actually the society that's actually in confusion. That makes the teacher say, okay, you want what? You want this, we'll just do this. Although I think most of the teachers understand that what they need to do is actually to help students to learn.
Yeah, I will leave the second question later part, okay? Now, please, participants here. Anyone want to get the ball rolling? Yes?
Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Dr. Nurul Aini Abu Shamsi. I'm from Faculty of Science, currently teaching Science Communication and coordinator for Master of Science Communication and Public Engagement. So I'm going to come up with a situation followed by questions and probably problems. I was informed there's an influx of international students, especially from China, to Malaysia, especially for postgraduate level. Okay, so having said that, yes, we're talking about promoting equity, inclusion, but I would say when we designed a program, maybe it was a miss that we did not include consideration having students from different backgrounds and limitation of language barrier. And then with master levels, we're thinking of having students that we're not really giving like a normal lecture. We are really in a class where we would like students to share their experience, discussion, and we are there to facilitate with our theoretical background and academic background. So the problem is now, with what's happening in my class, is I'll be standing there, students, especially the international students, will come rushing to be in the first rows, not because I hope that they are interested in my lectures, but it's really actually because they want to get their laptop, have a clear audio so that they can use AI, I believe, apps that can generate subtitles. So, and then when we come to a discussion or we come to a question, I would say maybe because of the culture differences, they are not really, they don't, what I was being told, they were not trained in a classroom where you will have a participation discussion. Discussion. So, but we do get good responses from our local graduates. So yes, we're talking about promoting equity, inclusion, and then when it comes to assignments, mostly they will depend on AI.
Is this a problem for you or is this a challenge for you?
That's the thing. So I'm kind of stuck.
Or is this an opportunity for us?
Yes, that's I believe when I'm here and then with what Dr. Tazli has just shared his presentation, I believe there's a lot of opportunities. But I would like to get responses from the panels on what are the ways, how do we navigate? Because I believe if we are saying that for UM, if we want to give a global impact, so how do we navigate? And I'm not sure, but lecturers are not well prepared for this, especially with the AI international influx. So that's my message. Thank you.
Probably, Tazli, you want to take this up and later you can add if you want to add.
My name is Binti, so I have to answer. Okay. Alright, I think the challenges actually I think in terms of the curriculum that we develop, of course, we try as much as possible try to make it universal, right? In terms of our curriculum. Sometimes, of course, we give more context relating to our cultures. We tailor it to that whenever that we try to deliver that kind of content. But I believe that the challenge here is actually one of the things that we may look into is looking at our pedagogical enhancements there. So for example, like I think Dr. Zahir just now, you've been sharing about flipped classroom, for example. That is an opportunity right now to be done, to be honest. Because all this while, for example, we may take times, for example, to create our own video lecture, right? I mean, like, I think one of the challenge for the lecturers is actually to create their own video content and then in the class to have the activities. Because one of the things is that I don't know how to edit, create content and edit and trim and all those kind of things, it's very difficult. But right now with AI, it's possible. You don't have to record yourself, you can just put your pictures, then pictures moving, coming out with your own voice, you clone it, and then you can have like presentation, 3 to 5 minutes video readily made. That can be done, and then that can be given to the students as part of their preparation before they come into the class. So what's supposed to be done inside the class? You can enhance it, for example, with cooperative learning strategies. For example, like cooperative learning in a way that you try to make sure that the students are heterogeneous in nature. Which means that if let's say the students are from China, split them up. Make them mingle around with other locals, for example. This is always what I do, because international students, whenever they have the tendency to stick together and then being left out in that sense. But we want them to be inclusive in our class. So that is why actually you design the class to make sure that they when they're doing the grouping, rather than ask them to choose a group, we actually decide where they belong to. And then from that you can actually make a continuous discussion, continuous activities. So for example, like there are many activities in cooperative learning. And when I talk about cooperative learning, if you haven't heard about it, it was already introduced in 1970s. Long time ago. But of course it's not being picked up, it's not being done. But now it is possible. Because in order for you to plan for the activities, if you don't have any ideas, ChatGPT is there. I want to do this in cooperative learning strategy. So what are the things I can do? I have this problem, I have a mixture of international students from this and this and this. What are the best activities I could do? So you can always design, that kind of thing inside the class and implement it. And it's not that, I would say that it makes our life easier. Of course, there's going to be some kind of challenge and hiccup from time to time, especially you're just starting it. It's okay to fail the first time. Keep doing it again. And do the best, instead of just not being traumatized of the experience at all. So you just keep doing it again and again. And I believe that, inshallah, with the best design, based on the right framework, based on the right strategies, you'll be able to deliver it. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, I may add a little bit of, okay, now we go back one step. Chinese students, at least from engineering, they come here, they want to learn how to speak. They want to learn how to be able to share their ideas or whatever freely. That's why in China, they say that they must come here at least for 1 year residency. Therefore, learning how to talk, learning how to be with other students itself is their target. So in my class, I teach research methodology for PhDs. Okay, I have about half of my class Chinese students. So what I do is, I encourage them to talk, give them 1 minute pitching. It's online, but surprisingly, I've been teaching it for the last 3 semesters. At the end of the semester, I have a lot of cakes anyway, a lot of presents, because many of them, within even 1 semester, become better. Now recently, one of the students, my own student, completely used ChatGPT as a translational material, translational tool. So what they do, they write in Chinese, produce very good paper. So I will take this as part of my responsibility of teaching, because they come here also to improve their language and all that. So in my thinking, it is a challenge which, with the help of a tool and a little bit of understanding, we can turn it into an opportunity to teach our international, because not having international student in our university is not an option in this modern era. Yeah.
I have never had a chance to teach Chinese students from China, but I do have a colleague who has initially challenges, but I think she has the same problem as what you're facing. They will use all sorts of translation gadgets because they do not have the language to begin with, and that's the reason why they're quiet. Is because they don't know, and when you're giving them the group work, they're very easy to say, please, you're from Malaysia, right? You understand? You do, you know. So and that's not good, right? So what she does is she forces them to, although in groups, but you need to identify who's doing what, so that they realize that whether, by hook or by crook, they need to master the language. And sometimes they just don't have time to look at the translation. They do look at the translation thingy in order to help them to understand what they need to do, but over the period of time, they realize that they're actually learning something, And the beauty part of these kind of students, because they are trained, you are very right, they're not trained to question authority, because that's related to culture. And that's part of equity and equality. You have to understand that too, so that you will be able to share, embrace their culture, but at the same time help them to move away from that culture, because that's not going to be helpful. So that they will be able to become engaged in the lesson by asking them to participate. Ensuring that everybody gets a chance to participate in the activities, in the learning activities. And it's when they are able to see their transformation from not having the confidence to say, to express, to see that they actually understand now. She was actually teaching qualitative research methods. It's even worse. Not only they do, it's not numbers, it's words. And they've got to express, and they can't write in Chinese because she doesn't understand Mandarin. So, whatever it is, they still have to produce in English. So, it's when they are able to see that they are actually learning something, they become, they went into a trajectory where they now become, they take charge of their learning. They are the ones who are actually asking questions. They now want to become leaders in the group because they can see themselves participating. People understand them. They thought that people don't understand them. They don't have that language. Their self-esteem is low. They're very, very hardworking, but because of that language barrier. But the minute they get their self-esteem high, they know that they can actually, they get it. They know that everybody has got to have the accountability to take part in this lesson. Nobody is going to be quiet, or I can't give it to someone else who's from Malaysia. They realize that they have no choice but to participate. And once they participate, and you just recently, this week is our UUM convocation, she was swarmed by these Chinese students. You know, the Malaysian students who you state that they're happy to participate. No Malaysian came to her, but all these Chinese students came to her because they really felt that she made them learn, and she transformed them in the classroom, and they appreciated that very much, even though they met her in the last semester.
One thing that we have to accept is Chinese students, cognitively, they are very strong. Okay. Problem, language, culture, sometimes they don't talk, sometimes they don't challenge authority. So if you understand that dynamics and act accordingly, they can do it. And tell them that you can use tools. Like tell them that you can use ChatGPT or whatever, no problem. And I don't punish them for language. I assess them on the cognitive ability of that. So that is one way to go, I believe. Now, next question, please. Next question. Anyone else? Yeah, Prof. Raman here.
How do we use the technology to enhance the acquisition of technical knowledge, especially through the visualization, imagination part? Because I think the power of imagination and visualization is much more effective in acquiring knowledge and pedagogical aspect than words. Because you can like picture words worth 1,000 words. So how is there any way we can use the technology better in visualization? I'm not sure about
Okay. So the question is, Prof. Raman here comes from physics background. So the question here is, how can we use technology for non-text sort of assessment using visualization? Probably you're talking about using formulas, okay, and things like that. Okay. So anybody wants to pick this up? Yeah.
That's a hard question. But you know, basically, learning is about know something, and after that can add experience to improve their knowledge. That's the basic learning actually. So whatever the subject student face, whether or not this concept or practical or thorough thing, including the visual thing. So the most important for us as a teacher is to see whether or not student can accept what is it they face while they're learning. See what I mean? Like for visualization, visualization is representing what we cannot, you know, reach in physics. So we're modeling all the idea into the visual thing. Actually, it's not real, but it should be, I mean, representing what the concept we are learning about at the same time. So measuring it in exactly it is impossible. So agreement is important in the situation. So there is not right or wrong in the situation, but the most important thing is to let the student agree what they understand of what they see and learn. Sorry, it's a bit complicated.
No, I think probably Dr. Tazli can add.
I know that I think learning, for example, learning physics is a bit abstract, right? Like, for example, like there's certain kind of theories that need visualization, and sometimes cannot be described by words, right? One of the ways that you can use the technology, for example, like the emerging tools such as text to image in AI, for example, like ChatGPT, they have DALL-E for those subscribers of ChatGPT Plus, or you can have Midjourney, for example, tools like Leonardo.ai. It's actually the ability for the students to prompt, for them to prompt, for example, whatever that they learn about the physics, for example, they just write the concept of the prompt and then try to get that kind of visualization. And maybe each and every one of them try to visualize it and try to compare. Maybe relook back and talk back to the professor, for example, like, am I getting it right, for example? Is these are the visualization that we're looking at, for example? I think that class could be very enriching class, because everybody is prompting, getting maybe a lot of abstract images based on the theories, based on the prompts, and I think it's going to be a very exciting class. Instead of like what we think, what we visualize, maybe at the same time as well, that is where actually we help the students, because maybe some of the students, they got it wrong. They got it wrong and then they prompt it wrong and then they got wrong visualization, and we can always explain and clear the misconception. So I think it's an opportunity, to be honest.
Just to follow up, I know what Prof. Raman, reading from his couple of emails he wrote on this. I think the real question is use of this technology making the students learn less in an important area which requires deep understanding, deep visualization here, right? I think probably that is something that we can address here. Is this making them lazy? Just like when I was small, I had to do everything by 1 times 12 is 12. Now I just use my calculator. That makes me a lesson learner. Okay? Is that what we are talking about? Use of technology is making students to learn less, the substance stuff.
I beg to differ. To be honest, I beg to differ. I always believe that with the right strategies that we use inside the class, the technology is a very good enhancement for our learners. And then there are so many things that we can do inside our class, so many activities, so many, rather than, sometimes we always think that, by transmission of the knowledge, that, just by saying, by giving lectures and show whatever that it is on the slides, that make the students learn better. In fact, it is not. It has been proven that scientifically it is not. Because we may talk about a ball, and maybe the student perceives it's a chicken. So it is very important for us to engage deeply with them, having less lecture, more technological support so that they can actually work together, discuss together. That is actually enhancing critical thinking in that sense. And you can always put that as part of your formative assessment. You can always put that as, always give feedback to the student. So because once, for example, if let's say the students are discussed wrongly inside the class, the discussion going to the sea or masuk laut, you can always fix that now and now, rather than, okay, you listen to my lecture for the next 1 hour, I give you tests, and you are failing, and you cannot repair that. But instead, if let's say you start to use technologies for the students to do a lot more activities inside the class, you can always give feedback immediately, for example. So that is actually the power of using technology with the known, of course, it must be a known pedagogy. You cannot just simply, okay, I'm going to use technology, I'm going to dismiss pedagogy, for example. So it's like when we have PKP last time, right? Many of us have a tendency to just replicate their physical lecture, immediately convert into online lecture, and it was way boring, right? So I think, but then you start to get to know about breakout sessions, you get all these kinds of engagement tools. That is where actually you engage with the learners. Those are the things that you need to make it different compared to what you have done in physical session.
So this use of this technologies is no way reducing any element of cognitive learning and all that. In fact, it can assist you.
Yeah.
All right.
But the thing is, if I always remind others, whenever that, for example, if you're using technology like ChatGPT, if you put the garbage in, you get the garbage out. Right? So if you don't teach the students how to use it effectively, of course, definitely you will get the garbage out.
Okay.
Yeah?
Any other question related or any other different kind of questions here?
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Hi, my name is Shalin. I'm from Universiti Polytech Malaysia, back then known as Universiti Polytech Mara. Okay, so my question is that I have two questions to ask. Okay, since today we only discuss about the future of assessment and so on. But okay, the first question is ChatGPT covers HOTS and LOTS element in AI Bloom taxonomy? That is the first question. Okay, and the second question is in 10 years later, is traditional ways of teaching and learnings will be completely replaced by AI?
Two different questions, but they are related. Number one is conventional assessment still relevant? Is it going to be HOTS and okay, I was thinking, okay, is this Prof? Questions?
Dr. Tazli is asking me to answer the question first because he seems to say that he doesn't want to be famous. Okay, I think with or without ChatGPT, we have to tackle HOTS and LOTS, right? I mean, going back to your example just now, Prof, if you can use a calculator, why bother? I mean, if you got a calculator, why bother doing the timetable? But if you don't know what is timetable, having the calculator is useless. That's where the garbage in, garbage out. So at the end of the day, you still need to tell them the lots. You still need to get them into that lots before they can go to the HOTS and see how the technology is actually helping them to, do it faster so that they can do more, they can do other things better, by solving problems rather than still going at 1 times 12, now telling if I've got 12 rooms and each room is $12, how much money would I get at the end of the month? So those are the kind of questions that you would want them to get themselves involved now, problem solving, rather than still looking at the timetable. The difference is actually either you do it manually or you do it via the calculator. So the ChatGPT is designed for both. There's an algorithm behind it, that's why it's called machine learning. And machine learning, well, we are better than machine learning. Our brain has got this capacity to actually learn beyond that. We were the one who actually created the ChatGPT in the first place. So all the more reason that you must think with or without ChatGPT, you need to tackle both. But with ChatGPT, it helps them to get the learning journey faster, because they can either get the examples or help or support at their own pace, so they don't have to wait for you. With or without you, they can do the practice. They can explore their learning progression. But in our case, as an instructor, in order not to be fooled, we need to also know what those ChatGPT can or cannot do. So, we have no choice but to also jump into that bandwagon to make sure that we don't become hallucinated by our students' work and we think that all our students' work are just so perfect. And I think that's the reason Dr. Tazli's example just now was just terribly brilliant, where you need to know who your students are so that you will know with that technology as a mediated learning tool, that's what I call it instead of scaffolding, how is it that tool can mediate the students' learning? What is that for? I talk too much.
Okay, let me ask you. Okay, future, right? Let's say, okay, let's say in 5 years' time, I'm going to retire next year. I built a company and I'm taking this engineer. somebody comes to me with first class from this particular university. Oh, would I still take him? Yeah.
Because I just met real employers. I'm involved in the guidelines of good practice for assessment learning, and one of the things that we need to do was to actually meet stakeholders. And so I've got the privilege to actually, meet real employers, and what they want from assessment in higher institution of education is not so much of the content. I mean, getting the content, they assume that coming to the university.
So first class is reflective of the content. You're saying.
Content, right? But what they are looking for is actually the skills, the ability for students to creatively and critically solve real-world problems in collaboration, in group work. Because if they can't work as a team, the organization is not going to be a successful one. So you can't teach or you can't assess all these skills that they want. And of course, the use of ChatGPT. Now, I was just talking to Prof. just now. That you can't run away from ChatGPT because the employers want that as well. They want their people, or maybe the potential employees, to have that skills, that added value skills, because they don't have time to train these people. And what they want is actually, I want one person, I need you to clone yourself to 5 people. Because I'm giving you 5 jobs, and the due date was actually yesterday. That's how the real world workplace is.
So I cannot trust this first class verdict that the university has given to me anymore. Is that what you are saying in 5 years' time?
I guess that's like,
because going back to assessment, right?
I mean, it's like catch 22. Probably I'll see the first class, but not necessarily I will take that first class.
What are the 3 items that you think that I should test this girl or guy before I take him in 5 years' time?
The ability for them to actually see how they can solve problems that even the companies that don't know how to solve.
So this is something they have to assess.
Who to assess?
I have to assess, right?
This is what they expect in universities to prepare the students before they come for the interview.
So I asked this question to make a point actually.
I'm going to give it to you.
Okay. Previously, when we, 10 years ago, even 15 years ago, if you are a first class student, they'll take you immediately. Now, in engineering scenario at least, first class don't give you, in fact, it is a disadvantage for you. This guy will run away. This guy probably will go and do some research somewhere and become an academic. Okay? What they will take is, they will take someone second class, third class, or I'll take an American graduate because they talk better, they present better. This is real. So this is what I want to relate outside the assessment, because I'm involved in a lot of industries and all that. We go to them. In fact, I was in one of the industries in Johor. We are not interested in the first class. They are interested. So what they do is ask them to talk. Yeah, one more minute. Okay, I think we are running out of time. Okay, I will give you.
I just want to share a real experience where actually, because of course, I am also as an employer right now. We hire staff. We have at the moment 3 fresh graduates working under the company. Right. I used to actually interview one of the potential candidates, the first class honors, and I asked a question: can you reflect the time that when you have a conflict in the team, how do you solve it? I don't have conflict in the team. Oh my God, that's the answer. So how do you play yourself as a team? In teamwork. I said, she said that, no, we just do whatever it is. Okay, now she's not being reflective person at all. And then I wonder how do you being assessed and you got first class? So I think this is something that we have to think. The way how we develop the activities inside the class, the design of learning that we put inside the class. Is it only content based, or is it that we actually start moving towards others? All this while, all the 3 others that we hired, They are actually, I think, second class lower students, but with very good skill, teamwork skill. Thank you.
Okay, time's up. Prof, half a minute to conclude your last takeaway point. Prof, dulu. Yeah. Half a minute.
Well, look at your students. Never forget that. Don't look at your questions. Look at your students first and see how you can help them to see that they are human who has capacity to learn. And it's so happened that you are able to only to see that through the assessment. So make sure that the assessment is actually meaningful for them so that they can see the relevance of learning in the first place.
Thank you. Tazli, half a minute.
Just a quote from my mentor, my sifu, Prof. Karim. A fool with a tool is still a fool. A fool with a tool is still a fool. That's all.
Prof, Udan.
Thank you. But one thing that we need to consider when we are conducting assessment is appreciate students. So we need to appreciate every student for whatever they want to be like while they're learning. Thank you.
Okay, for me, whenever you are making an assessment, think about these two conditions. Number one, if I'm making available for this particular candidate all the resources available, can it be answered easily without any difficulties? Number one. Number two, if someone who have not attended my class with a little bit of cleverness, they can answer my question. If the answer is yes for both of these questions, then probably your assessment is not good. I think that's what I want to say today. Thank you very much. I think that's all we have for this day.